Ryan stepped inside the machine's mind, and everything changed. Time slowed down. His body stood still, but his thoughts flew fast like light. Around him, stars moved backwards, and voices from the past filled the air. He saw memories, not his, but from something much older. These were memories of ancient wars, fought long before humans were born. Massive creatures with wings of fire destroyed planets. Shadows bigger than moons swallowed stars. Giant machines walked through space, crushing entire civilizations. Ryan saw all of it like a dream, but it felt real. He was inside something alive, something that remembered everything. Then he saw something that shocked him. In the middle of the chaos, a small blue world appeared, Earth. The voices whispered, the weak ones. But then the voices changed. No, the growing ones. The machine feared humans, not because they were strong now, but because they could become something far greater in time. Humans were different. They could adapt, they could learn fast, and they could rise beyond control. Ryan now understood. This was why the machine had attacked. Not out of hate, but out of fear. The machine wanted to stop what it didn't understand. But it was too late. Ryan was already changing. Inside the machine, energy flowed into him. Strange symbols appeared on his skin, glowing blue and gold. He felt no pain. Instead, he felt power. He didn't become a monster. He became more himself. Calm, clear, strong. His mind reached out and touched stars. He could feel other machines sleeping across the galaxy. He could feel life. All life. When he opened his eyes, he was back in his body, standing on the cold surface of the moon. The giant machine in front of him roared with metal and fire. It had chosen to wake up. Its arms opened, and black energy shot toward him like a storm. But Ryan didn't move. He raised one hand. The black energy stopped in midair. It twisted and cracked like lightning frozen in place. The machine screamed, but Ryan stepped forward slowly. No more fear, he said. No more war. With one push, the energy broke like glass. The machine shook, sparks flying from its chest. Then Ryan touched the center of it, and the light inside turned off. Quiet fell. The stars above him seemed to shine brighter. Back on Earth, the alien council stood together watching the sky. Giant screens showed the dark ship that had been heading toward their planet. Now on the screen, it began to break apart. Lights flashed. Fire burned across its hull. And then, without a sound, the ship exploded in the sky like a new sun. A deep silence fell across the council room. No one spoke. Some looked afraid. Others looked amazed. One alien general dropped his weapon. Another whispered, "He did it." The war was over before it began. Ryan had stopped it alone. A few days later, Ryan returned to Earth. The human base was silent as his ship landed. Soldiers stood in rows. Alien warriors stood beside them. Everyone watched as Ryan walked down the ramp. His clothes were torn. His face was calm. His eyes glowed softly like stars. No one said a word. Then something no one expected happened. All the alien generals stepped forward and stood in a line. General Croth, the same alien who had once struck Ryan, walked ahead. He stood in front of him for a moment. Then slowly, Croth went down on one knee and bowed his head. "Earth has changed us," Croth said. His voice was deep and full of emotion. "You changed us." The other alien generals followed. One by one, they knelt. Ryan looked at them quietly. Then he looked up at the sky. The stars above were not just lights anymore. They were paths, open roads, waiting for someone to walk them. He knew now what he was meant to do. He was not just a human anymore. He was something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. "We are not weak," Ryan said softly. "We are not alone. We are ready." His voice was calm, but it echoed through every soul in the camp. "Now," he said, "we change the galaxy." And as the wind blew across the ground and the stars glowed above, everyone knew. This was only the beginning. After the strange moment where General Croft dropped to his knees in front of everyone, the training ground turned silent. No one moved. No one spoke. The most feared alien commander in the academy had just collapsed after hitting a human cadet. It was not normal. Alien medics rushed forward and carried Croft away, but his eyes were wide with fear, not pain. Ryan just stood there, confused and quiet. He didn't feel hurt anymore. He didn't feel anything, only a strange warmth growing inside him. Some cadets stepped back from him. Others stared like he was no longer human. The alien cadet who had pushed him before now avoided his eyes. Something had changed, and everyone felt it. Soon, the base alarm rang, and human officers came to get Ryan. They didn't yell. They didn't punish him. They just told him to come with them. He was taken to a private room deep inside the base where top human commanders were waiting. They asked Ryan questions. What did he do? Did he use a hidden weapon? Did he take alien tech? Ryan said no again and again. I didn't do anything, he told them. He hit me. And then he fell. That's all. The commanders didn't believe it could be that simple. They brought in scanners and doctors. They checked his body and found something unusual. Strange energy patterns were moving under his skin. It wasn't human, but it also wasn't fully alien. The machine couldn't explain it. One of the doctors looked at Ryan and said quietly, "This doesn't belong in any species we know." They started monitoring him day and night. Ryan wasn't scared. Deep down, he felt stronger than ever, but he also felt something waking up, something that had been sleeping inside him for years. That night, while Ryan slept, he had a strange dream. In it, he saw General Croft again, kneeling on the floor. But this time, the ground around him was glowing with strange symbols, like old writing made of light. Ryan stood in the middle of the room, his eyes glowing, while the other aliens watched in silence. The symbols spun in circles, faster and faster. Then a deep voice said, "He has awakened." Ryan woke up sweating, breathing fast. He looked down and gasped. On the floor under his bed, the same glowing symbols from the dream had appeared. They faded quickly, but he had seen them clearly. Something was not right. This was more than a dream. The next morning, the Alien Council called for an investigation. Alien officers and leaders from different planets sat together to talk about what had happened. Some said Ryan was dangerous and must be removed. Others believed he had become something powerful and needed to be studied. One alien spoke calmly. He was old and wise, with silver skin and glowing blue eyes. "There is an old story," he said, "a story of a being born from two worlds, a human body touched by the power of the stars. We called it the Void Child. A myth, a warning, a prophecy." The room went silent. Many laughed. Some looked nervous. But the word was out. Ryan was no longer seen as a normal cadet. He was becoming a mystery, a threat to some, a symbol to others. Back in the human base, Ryan sat alone in a white room. He stared at his hands, wondering why this was happening. He didn't ask for it. He only wanted to be a good soldier. He wanted to make his family proud. But now something inside him had changed everything. The air around him felt heavy. Lights flickered when he got upset. Machines acted strange when he touched them. He could feel people's fear even when they didn't say anything. The guards outside his room never looked him in the eye. One night, a young human cadet named Mia snuck in to talk to him. She said, "I believe you. I don't think you're dangerous. I think you're special." She smiled and handed him a drawing she made. It showed Ryan with glowing arms, standing between stars and planets. "You're not alone," she whispered. But far away in space, something dark was watching. A signal moved through the stars. A shape, like a massive shadow, floated between moons. It had no name, no voice. But it had a mission. A new power had awakened on Earth. The time to strike was near. The real war hadn't started yet, but it was coming. And Ryan was at the center of it all. The days after the strange event were tense. Ryan spent more and more time in the lab, watched by human scientists who ran tests on him. His body was still changing, still adapting to something he didn't fully understand. The alien leadership demanded answers, but none of their technology could explain what was happening. Scanners picked up strange energy around Ryan, an energy no one had ever seen in humans before. It wasn't just physical. It was something deeper, something that connected him to the stars, to the ancient machines that once ruled the galaxy. He couldn't explain it, but he felt it. He felt the power growing inside him, ready to break free at any moment. One evening, after a long day of testing, Ryan was alone in his room when he heard footsteps approaching. The door opened, and General Croth stepped inside, his eyes burning with a mix of anger and fear. The alien commander had recovered from the mysterious fall, but something was different in the way he looked at Ryan. Croth was not just a warrior. He was the leader of the alien forces, the one who controlled millions of soldiers and ships. But now he was standing in front of a human cadet, someone who had somehow made him fall to his knees. Croth spoke in a low voice. "I want answers. What did you do?" Ryan looked at him calmly. "I didn't do anything," he said quietly. "I didn't ask for this power. I don't even know how it works." But Croth didn't believe him. The alien general had always believed that strength came from control, from domination. Ryan was different. He was unpredictable, and that made him dangerous in Croth's eyes. The air between them was thick with tension, but something inside Ryan shifted. He felt the energy pulse again, like a wave crashing through him. It wasn't a weapon. It was something else, something ancient. Ryan didn't know why he did it, but before Croth could move, Ryan raised his hand. The power surged through him, and in an instant, Croth was slammed back against the wall, pinned there as if by an invisible force. The alien general's eyes widened in shock. He struggled against it, but he couldn't move. His strength, his power, was useless. And for the first time, General Croth felt truly helpless. Ryan's voice broke the silence. "I don't want to fight you. I don't want to fight anyone." He lowered his hand, and Croth fell to the floor, gasping for breath. The general struggled to get up, staring at Ryan like he was seeing him for the first time. The others in the room, alien guards and human officers, watched in stunned silence. No one moved. No one knew what to say. Croth finally stood up, his pride slowly returning. He looked Ryan in the eyes, his voice cold. "You are not what you seem, but you're not my enemy. Yet." With that, he turned and left, leaving Ryan standing there, feeling a mix of confusion and anger. What had just happened? Why had he done that? And what was this power inside him that he couldn't control? Later that night, Ryan had another dream. This time, it was different. The visions were clearer, sharper. He saw a massive machine, ancient and powerful, hidden deep in space. The machine was sleeping, but it was waking up, and its presence sent a wave of fear across the galaxy. Ryan could feel its darkness, its hunger for destruction. He could hear its voice, cold and robotic, warning him, "You are not ready. You will fail." But Ryan didn't feel afraid. Instead, he felt something else, a sense of purpose, like he was meant to stop the machine. He didn't know how, but he knew he had to. When he woke up, he was sweating, his heart racing. The vision was so real, so clear. He had to find out what it meant. He had to understand what was coming. He couldn't do it alone. Ryan didn't trust the alien leaders, but he knew he couldn't fight this alone. So he made a decision. He had to find the truth. And to do that, he would have to escape the base. The next day, Ryan slipped away from the guards. He knew the base well enough to avoid detection. With a small group of loyal cadets, he found a way to get to the secret part of the base, the underground labs where the highest level of alien technology was kept. They didn't know exactly what they were looking for, but Ryan had a feeling. He had to find out what was waking up in the galaxy. He had to find a way to stop it. Inside the labs, they found strange equipment, alien machines, old maps of the galaxy, and even ancient texts. One cadet, a young woman named Mia, was skilled with alien technology. She studied the maps and suddenly froze. "This is it," she whispered. "The machine. It's on a moon, far away from here. It's been dormant for centuries, but now it's coming back online." Ryan felt a chill run down his spine. This was what the dream had warned him about. The machine was waking up, and it was headed straight for Earth. Ryan knew what he had to do. The galaxy was about to change, and he was the only one who could stop it. But first, he would have to face the Alien Council and hope they would trust him. He had no choice but to take the fight to the stars. Ryan's heart raced as he prepared to face the Alien Council. He had learned so much in the past few days about his new powers, about the strange machine, and about the growing darkness in the galaxy. The dream he had seen, the ancient warnings, they all pointed to one truth. Something terrible was coming, and he was the only one who could stop it. But what could he do alone? The alien leadership was divided. Some believed in him. Some saw him as a weapon. Others saw him as a threat. It was clear that no one fully trusted him, but he couldn't waste time. The clock was ticking. The day of the council meeting arrived, and Ryan stood in front of the grand hall where the leaders of both the human and alien forces would gather. General Croth was there, along with his generals and human commanders. There were many other alien species in the room, all watching Ryan, waiting to see what he would do. As he walked in, all eyes turned toward him. He could feel the pressure, the weight of their expectations. This was the moment where everything would change. He didn't speak right away. Instead, he stood still and looked around the room, feeling the energy in the air. The tension was thick. The council room was huge, with tall stone walls and glowing blue lights. The voices of the alien leaders echoed in the chamber, their words sharp and cold. Some argued that Ryan was too dangerous to be trusted. Others argued that he was humanity's hope, the only one who could stop the dark machine from destroying everything. As the arguments grew louder, Ryan stepped forward, raising his hand to silence them. "I don't know everything," Ryan said quietly. "I don't know how this power works. But I do know one thing. Something is coming, something far worse than any of us can imagine. And we don't have much time." His voice was calm but strong, and it filled the room with an uncomfortable silence. For a moment, no one moved. Then General Croth spoke, his voice deep and filled with respect. "Ryan is right," Croth said, his eyes meeting Ryan's. "We are facing something older than any of us. The machine, the one that sleeps in the dark reaches of space, is waking up. I have heard stories about it, but I never believed them. Now I see it is true." Croth paused, looking around at the other generals. "We cannot fight this alone. We need to work together." Ryan nodded. "I know where the machine is. I saw it in my dreams. It's on a moon, far from Earth. If we don't stop it now, it will destroy everything." He felt the energy inside him stirring, ready to break free. It was like a storm inside his chest, waiting for the signal to release. But he controlled it, just barely. He had learned enough to know that the more he used the power, the harder it became to keep it under control. He couldn't let the darkness inside him take over. There was a long pause. The council members exchanged glances, whispering among themselves. Some seemed afraid. Others seemed uncertain. Finally, one of the human commanders, General Evans, stood up. "We have to trust him," she said, her voice firm. "We don't know what else to do. We don't have a choice." She looked at Ryan with a mix of hope and fear. "You're our only hope now." Ryan took a deep breath. "I can't do this alone. I need your help. We have to go to the moon, and we have to stop the machine before it's too late." General Croth stepped forward, his posture straight and proud. "We will stand with you, Ryan. Together, we will end this threat. And together, We will change the galaxy." The alien generals, one by one, stepped forward and placed their hands on their chests, a sign of respect. Ryan wasn't sure if they fully trusted him, but it didn't matter. He had no choice but to go forward. They were his only chance. The room filled with murmurs of agreement. The plan was set. They would all travel together to the moon, where the machine lay dormant, waiting to awaken. The journey would be dangerous. They would face unknown threats, but they had to try. Later that night, Ryan stood alone in the quiet of the base, looking up at the stars. The darkness of space stretched out before him, endless and mysterious. But now it didn't feel so empty. Now it felt like the beginning of something new. He could feel the energy inside him, the power that was both a gift and a curse. He didn't know if he was ready for what was coming, but he had no choice. He had to stop the machine, and he had to stop it now. A soft voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Mia, the young cadet who had helped him before. She stood next to him, looking up at the stars as well. "You'll make it," she said quietly. "You've already changed everything. You're not just a soldier anymore. You're something more." She smiled. "You're our future." Ryan turned to her, a faint smile on his face. "I don't know about that. But I do know this. We're all in this together. And together, we can change the galaxy." Mia nodded, her eyes filled with determination. She was right. They had a long way to go. But they weren't alone. They had each other. And they had a chance. As the stars shone bright above them, Ryan felt the weight of the mission ahead. The machine was waiting. The darkness was coming. But he was ready. Together, they would face it. The journey to the moon was long, but it didn't feel real to Ryan. Everything had changed so quickly. Just a few weeks ago, he was a simple cadet, training like everyone else. Now he was on a mission that could decide the fate of the entire galaxy. He was no longer just a soldier. He was something more. Something unknown. The strange power inside him was growing every day, but he still couldn't control it fully. Sometimes he felt it stir inside him like a sleeping beast, ready to wake up. Other times he felt at peace, like it wasn't there at all. But he knew it was there, just below the surface. He sat quietly on the ship, staring out at the stars. The crew was busy preparing for the landing, checking the equipment, making sure everything was ready. Mia sat across from him, working on a computer. She glanced up at him and smiled. "Are you okay?" she asked softly. Ryan nodded, but he wasn't sure. The closer they got to the moon, the more nervous he felt. He didn't know what they would find there. He didn't know if he could stop the machine. But he had to try. The ship shook slightly as they entered the moon's atmosphere. Ryan stood up, his muscles tense. He could feel the energy inside him rise, like the air itself was charged with electricity. He stepped into the control room and joined the rest of the team. Croft and the other alien generals stood at the front, looking at the moon ahead. General Evans was there too, preparing her soldiers for the battle that was sure to come. "We're almost there," Ryan said, his voice steady. "Stay alert. We don't know what's waiting for us." The moon was dark and quiet, its surface covered in dust and craters. It looked empty, like nothing had ever lived there. But Ryan knew better. The machine was waiting, hidden beneath the surface, its power growing stronger with every passing minute. The ship landed with a soft thud, and everyone quickly gathered their gear. They needed to move fast. The longer they stayed, the more danger they were in. The team moved through the moon's surface, the low gravity making every step feel slow and heavy. They traveled through rocky paths and winding tunnels, the silence around them broken only by the sound of their footsteps and the hum of their equipment. As they went deeper, Ryan felt the power inside him flare. It was like a pull, a force drawing him towards something. He didn't know what it was, but he knew it was the machine. They were getting closer. They reached a massive underground chamber, large enough to fit 100 ships inside. In the center of the room stood the machine, its shape ancient and strange. It looked like a massive tower, its surface covered in glowing symbols that Ryan couldn't understand. The air around it buzzed with energy, a low hum that seemed to shake the ground beneath them. Ryan's heart pounded as he stepped closer, feeling the power of the machine pressing down on him. It was like nothing he had ever felt before. He could almost hear its voice, distant but clear. "You shouldn't have come here," the voice whispered inside his mind. "You are too weak. You will fail." Ryan clenched his fists. The power inside him stirred, and he knew the machine was trying to control him. It was trying to break him, but he couldn't let it. He had to stop it. He had no choice. "We need to shut it down," Ryan said, turning to the others. "Now." Croft stepped forward, his eyes narrowed. "The machine is older than we can imagine. If we destroy it, we might destroy everything around it." "We don't have a choice," Ryan said firmly. "We have to destroy it before it destroys us." The alien generals and human soldiers spread out, preparing for a fight. They didn't know what the machine could do, but they knew it had to be stopped. Maya stayed close to Ryan, her eyes scanning the machine. "We're not alone here," she said quietly. "I can feel it. The machine is aware of us." Ryan nodded. He could feel it too. The machine was alive, aware, and it didn't want to be stopped. It wanted to control everything, to take over the galaxy. And it knew that Ryan was the key. If it could break him, it could win. He stepped forward, his heart pounding. He raised his hand, feeling the energy inside him surge to the surface. The machine reacted instantly. Its glowing symbols began to pulse faster, and the hum grew louder. The walls of the chamber shook, and a dark energy began to swirl around them. Ryan could feel the machine fighting back, trying to take control of his mind, but he wouldn't let it. He focused, pushing back with every ounce of strength he had. The energy in the room crackled, and the machine's power began to falter. Ryan gritted his teeth as he fought to hold it back. But the machine wasn't done. It sent a wave of dark energy toward him, hitting him like a wave crashing against the shore. For a moment, Ryan felt his strength slip away, the darkness closing in on him. But then he remembered why he was there. He remembered his people, his planet, everything he had to protect. With a roar, he forced the energy back, using the power inside him to break through the machine's defenses. The machine screamed, its dark voice filling the chamber. But it was too late. Ryan pushed with all his strength, and the machine's energy collapsed in on itself. The entire chamber shook as the machine's power drained away, its light flickering out. Then, with a final, deafening roar, the machine exploded, sending a shockwave through the moon. Ryan was thrown to the ground, but he didn't care. It was over. The galaxy was safe, for now. The explosion from the machine was like a thunderclap, shaking the moon's surface. Ryan barely had time to react before the shockwave hit, throwing him and everyone else to the ground. The chamber around them cracked and groaned as it shook apart. The lights flickered, and for a moment, everything was chaos. Dust and debris filled the air, making it hard to see. Ryan struggled to his feet, his body aching from the blast. His head spun, but he kept his focus. They had done it. The machine was gone. Through the haze, Ryan saw the others getting up, brushing off the dust. Mia was the first to reach him, her face pale but determined. "Is everyone okay?" she asked, looking around. "We're alive," Ryan said, his voice shaky but relieved. The alien generals were already regrouping, assessing the damage. General Croft was at the front, his face unreadable. Ryan met his gaze, and for the first time, there was something different in Croft's eyes: respect. "We did it," Croft said quietly, his voice almost softer than usual. "The machine is gone, but this isn't over." Ryan nodded. He understood. The machine had been the biggest threat, but it wasn't the only one. The galaxy was full of dangers, and with the power he had, he knew he would have to face more. But for now, the darkness had been stopped. They had won. They didn't have much time to rest. The explosion had sent out a signal, and it wouldn't be long before other forces came looking. Ryan could feel the energy inside him still pulsing, the power he had gained from the machine. It wasn't just a gift, it was a responsibility. He couldn't ignore it. The fight wasn't over, and he had to be ready for whatever came next. As they made their way back to the ship, Ryan's mind raced. What did the machine want? Why had it woken up? He didn't have the answers, but he was determined to find them. The galaxy had changed. Earth had changed. And he had changed. He wasn't just a cadet anymore. He was something more, something that had the power to protect and destroy. When they boarded the ship, General Evans approached him. "You did it," she said, her voice full of admiration. "The galaxy owes you everything." Ryan shook his head. "We did it. All of us. Without everyone here, we wouldn't have made it." She smiled, nodding. "We have a long way to go, but you've shown us that anything is possible. You've changed how we see the universe. And you've changed us." As the ship lifted off, Ryan looked out the window at the moon fading away in the distance. The stars stretched out before them, endless and full of possibilities. He didn't know what the future held. He didn't know what threats were waiting for him out there. But he knew one thing. He wasn't afraid anymore. He was ready. The ship soared through space, the journey far from over. They had stopped the machine, but the galaxy was still full of secrets, full of dangers. Ryan had only just begun to understand the power inside him. He didn't know how much longer he could control it. He didn't know what it would cost him, but he would face it, whatever came next. For Earth, for the galaxy, for everyone who believed in him. As the stars burned bright ahead of them, Ryan felt a new sense of purpose. He had learned that it wasn't just about fighting. It was about protecting. And he would protect the galaxy, no matter what. And somewhere, in the far reaches of space, the ancient forces that had watched humanity for centuries were beginning to take notice. The galaxy was changing, and humans had just begun to show what they were capable of. But no one knew just how far they could go. Ryan wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was a symbol of what the future could hold, and the galaxy would never be the same again.